Welcome to Trending Now USA, and I am Bella, bringing you today's breaking coverage as the tennis world is shaken by a moment that fans across the globe are calling unbelievable, unforgettable, and one of the most dramatic turns in Coco Gauff's already extraordinary journey. What unfolded in the last few hours has left commentators scrambling for explanations, fans in emotional shock, and analysts rewriting their expectations for the future of American tennis. This is the story dominating sports conversations worldwide, and every detail adds a new layer to the dramatic saga surrounding Coco Gauff's latest performance, her emotional reaction, and the unexpected aftermath that continues to unfold as we speak. What happened on the court wasn't just a match. It wasn't just a routine victory or a defeat. It became a defining chapter in Gauff's career, a moment that captured raw emotion, fierce determination, and the kind of narrative twist that only the highest levels of elite competition can create. From the very start of the day, energy around the stadium felt noticeably different. Spectators sensed something intense building beneath the surface, whether from Gauff's focused demeanor or from the electric charge of anticipation sweeping through supporters. She walked into the arena calm but strikingly intense, and everyone watching began whispering that today might bring something big, though no one anticipated just how dramatic the outcome would be. As Gauff began her warm-up, her body language signaled something powerful: purposeful footwork, sharpened ground strokes, and an unwavering stare toward the opposite baseline. Fans familiar with her rise and her growing maturity recognized this look instantly. This was the posture Coco takes when she is about to deliver something special. And within minutes of the match starting, she did exactly that. Her opening rallies were explosive, strategically brilliant, and executed with a level of consistency that suggested she had entered the match with a game plan far more aggressive than usual. The crowd felt it too. Every shot echoed with intention, and every point seemed to build on the last in a way that created an overwhelming sense of rising intensity. But the surprise came not from how she began the match, impressive as it was, but from what happened next. As her opponent surged back with unexpected resilience, pushing Gauff into deeper corners and forcing errors that normally don't come from her racket, tension tightened in the stadium. Commentators began questioning whether Gauff's early burst of energy had cost her too much, too soon. Her breathing shortened. Her footwork slowed by a fraction. And as the pressure mounted, something shifted in her expression, a hint of frustration combined with disbelief. For fans watching around the world, it marked the beginning of a roller coaster stretch that would define the narrative of the entire match. The turning point came in a rally that lasted nearly a minute, a punishing exchange of power, precision, and sheer endurance. Gauff chased down shot after shot, returning balls that would have been winners against almost anyone else. When she finally reached the final cross-court ball and sent it back with a sharp angle that left the crowd gasping, the explosion of applause felt almost physical. That point was more than just a highlight. It was a declaration. It was Coco saying, not with words but with raw athleticism, "I'm still here. I'm not done." But what followed surprised even her loyal supporters. Instead of using that moment to rise, she suddenly faltered. A double fault. Then another. A forehand into the net that shocked commentators into silence. Her opponent gained momentum. The scoreboard tightened. The match began slipping from Gauff's grasp, leaving fans confused and anxious. Even viewers at home felt the shift, tweeting reactions in real time, asking what was going on with her rhythm, her confidence, the pressure, the atmosphere. It was a wave of uncertainty, a surreal contrast to her strong opening. Despite the struggle, Gauff didn't back down. Each changeover showed her talking intensely to herself, recalibrating, recentering, and searching for the mental clarity that champions must summon in moments of crisis. Little by little, she rebuilt her confidence, point by point, like reconstructing a house in the middle of a storm. The audience could feel this fight. Her eyes sharpened, her footwork reignited, and suddenly, she strung together a series of winners that left the stadium erupting again and again. It was a comeback brewing, and fans leaned forward in their seats, sensing the momentum turning in her favor. But then came the shock, the moment that fans are still replaying online. A controversial call by the umpire on a critical point stopped Gauff in her tracks. She turned immediately toward the chair, eyes wide, stunned by what she believed was an incorrect call. The replay seemed to support her reaction, and the crowd erupted in loud disagreement. Gauff's frustration surged visibly, and the emotional intensity of the match skyrocketed. She approached the umpire, still composed but unmistakably shaken, trying to understand how such a crucial call could go against her at such a decisive moment. And that moment, captured in still photos now circulating worldwide, became the spark that ignited the chaos that followed. Her opponent used the disruption to regain composure. Gauff, thrown off rhythm, lost the next few points quickly. Fans could feel her emotional balance slipping, and the commentators began discussing the psychological toll the match was taking. Yet through all the chaos, Gauff refused to collapse. She fought back again, dragging the match into a dramatic, nerve-wracking exchange where every point felt like a final, every shot like a career-defining moment. The arena vibrated with tension. Even the players' boxes reflected the pressure. Gauff's team watching her intensely, hands pressed against their faces, waiting for what would happen next. And then it happened. The moment that fans across social media are calling the shock of the season. Coco Gauff, after holding herself together through physical exhaustion, emotional strain, and one of the most dramatic matches she has ever played, finally reached a breaking point. As she walked back to the baseline after a grueling point, she paused, just for a second, and then, in front of thousands of fans and millions of viewers around the world, she broke down in tears. Tears of frustration, fatigue, disbelief, and maybe even relief. It was raw, it was real, and it stunned the entire tennis world. The stadium fell silent. Her opponent looked over, seemingly unsure of how to react. The umpire paused, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. Fans watching from home sent messages flooding across platforms, some expressing concern, some sending support, and others admitting they had never seen Gauff like this before. The emotional weight of the battle she was fighting, not just on the court but inside herself, suddenly became visible to everyone. It wasn't weakness, it was humanity in its most vulnerable form, displayed on one of the biggest athletic stages in the world. As she wiped her face and prepared to continue, the crowd did something unforgettable. They rose to their feet. A full standing ovation, echoing through the stadium, cheering her name, sending her the message that she wasn't alone, that they saw her effort, her courage, her heart. It was the kind of moment that transcended sports, the kind that reminds everyone why athletes become inspirations, why struggles sometimes matter more than victories. Gauff returned to play, visibly emotional but fiercely determined. And although the match ultimately did not go in her favor, the reaction afterward made it clear that this moment would be remembered not as a loss but as a turning point, one that revealed the depth of her resilience and the strength of her spirit. Her post-match interview only added to the emotional impact. With a trembling voice, she admitted how much pressure she had been carrying, how deeply she wanted to perform well, how frustrated she felt at certain calls, and how overwhelming it all became in that moment. She spoke with honesty, vulnerability, and gratitude toward the fans who supported her. Those words spread across the internet instantly, with viewers praising her maturity and emotional intelligence. Since then, social media has been flooded with reactions, from shock to admiration to heartfelt support. Fans from every corner of the tennis world have rallied behind her, calling her display of emotion a powerful reminder that even the greatest athletes face moments of struggle, doubt, and human vulnerability. Many have said they now feel even more connected to her, even more inspired by her journey, because she allowed people to see the reality behind the highlight reels and trophies. Meanwhile, analysts are reconsidering what this means for her future. Some argue this emotional breakthrough may be exactly what she needs to elevate her game to the next level. Others caution that the pressure on her has become too intense and that structural changes may be needed to protect young athletes at the highest levels of competition. But one thing is universally agreed upon: Coco Gauff is not defined by this moment of emotion. Instead, She is defined by her willingness to fight, to push through adversity, and to stand tall even when the world is watching her most vulnerable moments. Her journey continues. Her story grows. And this unforgettable match, filled with explosive highs, crushing lows, controversy, and emotion, will go down as one of the most defining moments of her career. Whether a turning point, a lesson, or a new beginning, only time will tell. But today, the world is talking not just about Coco Gauff the athlete, but Coco Gauff the human being, a young woman growing up under the brightest spotlight, learning, evolving, and showing the world that strength isn't the absence of emotion but the ability to keep going in spite of it. And this is where the tennis world stands now, paused, reflective, and stunned. Fans still can't believe what they witnessed. Commentators are still replaying the moment, discussing the weight of expectations, the pressures on young stars, and the evolving mental toll of the sport. Everywhere you look, the conversation centers around Gauff, her courage, her emotion, and her future. This has been Bella from Trending Now USA, bringing you this extensive and unfolding coverage. The world is watching. The tennis community is reacting. And Coco Gauff's journey is far from over.